Krishnan has over 22 years of experience in the infrastructure sector in areas ranging from project development, financing, project structuring, and implementation. He is an electrical and electronics engineer from Birla Institute of Technology and has completed his MBA from Faculty of Management Studies, Delhi. He started his career with Feedback Ventures Limited in the infrastructure development domain. He has also worked with L&T Group and later with the IDFC Group. During his career, he has worked on various infrastructure projects cutting across sectors and functional responsibilities. He has also taken a number of knowledge sessions on PPP contracting and contract management for various state and central government organizations, including NHAI and state PWDs. He is currently the CEO of IDEC. I invite you to present your speech, sir. We reserve the question answers for all the speakers for the post-panel discussion of session 1. Right? Thanks.
Engineer, and way back in my time when engineers were confused, they just went ahead and did a BA. So that is what I did. And at the end of 2 years, I pretty much came out as a master of nothing in particular. So all that I have to present today is what I have picked up over the last 20 odd years in infrastructure. Large part of it was to do with financing. A lot of it is also about institutional structures, policy, etc. I'll try and make it as relevant to you, given that you're largely, your interests lie in architecture and planning. So it's also split into largely 2 parts. The first part is a macro view and how Bangalore sits in that macro picture. And the second part is to do with one small portion of, if we were to try and do something about improving the transport and traffic and transport system within our city. What does it take to do in terms of IT and other interventions? Also, the first part has been done by an urban designer architect who is a colleague of mine. So it's full of nice pictures and it looks very nice and perceptive. The second part has been done by me, so it's pretty drab and boring and textual. But I'll try to keep that part interesting as well. So before I move on, just a couple of slides. I don't know how many of you know about IDEC, so I just thought it's a nice, good opportunity for me to tell you who we are and what we do. So we are the joint venture company of the IDFC Foundation, which is a not-for-profit arm of IDFC, which is today a bank and has a couple of branches in Bengaluru as well. But in its inception, it was essentially a financing institution set up by the government of India to lead private capital into infrastructure projects. So that's IDFC and IDFC Foundation, which holds 49.5%. 49% is held by the government of Karnataka, and 1.5% is held by HDFC. So that's how our ownership is. We've been around for about 17 years now. And essentially our mandate is to render advisory assistance, formulate sectoral policies and strategies, and to develop projects. We began developing projects for Karnataka and state agencies in Karnataka, but we've also moved, like most things in life, we moved beyond the state and we do work outside the state now. So just a little more depth of what we do. So, the first part is project advisory, which is sectoral strategies, development, so specific projects where we do DPRs, planning, etc. A transaction advisory, which is to help governments, once a project is prepared, finally it has to see the light of day and it has to be grounded. So you need to, figure out what the contracts need to say, and you need to help the government handle it through the contracting process. That's what transaction advisory means. And capacity building is something which we do quite intensively with government agencies, because all said and done, governments find it very difficult to attract good talent. I'm not so sure how many of you actually look at government as your dream job. So it's very difficult to attract talent, and so whoever is in government, they need to be told and brought up to speed on what's happening on, whether it's financing or technology or planning. So we do a lot of these courses and hand-holding for government. We also manage couple of funds. One fund is for developing projects, which is called the Project Development Fund, through which we undertake detailed studies for projects. But we also have a small investment fund, which we use for investing into projects. These are just the sectors we look at. And today I'll just be looking at the first vertical, which is urban infrastructure. And in that, a very small portion of it, just to give you an idea of how large and how big the problem is and how complicated the solution is. I think we can skip this. Like I said, we work across states, national, multi-track agencies, etc. Yeah, so the first part is if we were to look at Bangalore in the global context, and we just picked a few cities. So there's London, Paris, which is in Europe, and a couple of cities in Asia, and try to benchmark how we stand across various parameters and where we, how we measure up on those. So in terms of population, if you were to look at London and Bangalore, pretty much the same. Paris also pretty much the same. Area-wise, London is much larger in terms of, so the city of London is very small, but the greater London area, which corresponds to this population, is much larger. Whereas Bangalore is much smaller, so this pertains to BBMP and the 200 odd wards that BBMP has. And so it's much denser as far as Bangalore is concerned. So I'm just trying to be very intelligent in front of planners like you. But when you compare the infra budget, that's when things start to emerge. So for the same kind of population, the budget that BBMP has is 1/10. So, and the other thing you need to keep in mind is that's the kind of budget London is spending just to keep infrastructure as is, because London as a city is already a built city. It's not investing too much into building new infrastructure. It's just infrastructure as is or improving it marginally. Whereas for us, the task is uphill. You have to improve what you have and then maintain the whole thing. So even if you were to compare Kuala Lumpur, it's about 7 times. So that's the kind of financing gap that you're looking at. So if you were to look at the GDP per person, we're not too bad compared to Kuala Lumpur, and this is largely because of the IT sector being centered at Bangalore. The last row shows the public transport patronage. So the blue and the grey is essentially the walk and the public transport. We're not too bad compared to other cities, but the difference between our modal split and the others is that we are entirely road-based. We have very little of this which is rail-based. So that's one of the primary reasons that you see so much of congestion on the road. Whereas if you look at London or Paris, more than 70% of what you see as public transport is essentially rail-based. So you don't see that many vehicles on the road or people walking on the roads. So this is something which needs to be addressed at some point. So I just want to end this small session with a quick takeaway. I don't want to go very deep into all of this. So the quick takeaway is obviously the level of funding we're looking at is, you need to look at 8 to 10 times what you're doing now. 9,000 itself is a huge number as far as the state government of Karnataka is concerned. Because the moment you start increasing this, there are political pressures which build up saying, if you're spending 70,000 crores for Bangalore, what happens to smaller towns and cities? What about education, health, other things which have, also need to be given importance as far as the state budget is concerned. So this is a huge gap, and somebody needs to think about this creatively to figure out how to bridge this gap. And the other part of this is, when you're spending money, we've all seen the way government spend money. When you're spending money, it has to be done thoughtfully in a way that it is sustainable. So that what you're creating is not for yesterday, but for tomorrow. And without destroying the heritage and culture, character of the city, I think there is another session on this whole thing in the afternoon. And also financially sustainable. Many of what we do today, especially the way decisions are taken in government, many of this is also, you tend to go for high capex kind of capital intensive projects without really understanding what it takes to keep that maintained in the next 2 years or through its entire life. So that is something you need to also assess as a life cycle costing of the project. The other aspect, I didn't get too much of data except for saying that, the livability index, which essentially calculates how livable your city is across, some of them take 70 parameters, some 60 and all. Bangalore, according to a study which was done by BCA, an agency based out of Singapore, probably three or 4 years ago, was ranked 171. And a more recent study by Mercer was 177. And that was behind all of the other metros and, cities like Pune, Hyderabad, etc. So there has to be a conscious effort to say that, okay, I have these 20 parameters in front of me, and in the next 5 years, I need to move from where I am to at least be the top in India. And what does that take? I don't think cities are being planned or infrastructure is being planned using any benchmarks of the sort. And then coming down more to what I want to discuss today or focus on today is that we have to change the way we move. Because today, I think largely, whenever an individual has the wherewithal to move from a bus onto any form of private transport, he or she does so. So whether it's a second-hand bike or a second-hand scooter, given a choice, people will shift from public transport. The only fresh breath of air in this has been the introduction of the metro, which is seeing increasing patronage, but there are many issues relating to that in terms of last mile connectivity, integration of the metro with other modes, etc. So these are some quick takeaways, and I think at some point in time we need to rethink the way it's done. Now coming down to Bangalore and what the smart city proposal is and what it says, Dr. Ravindra has taken you through it in detail, but what I want to look at is through a different lens. So if you were to look at parastatals and government agencies and all that they do and provide for the city, you can put it in 3 different buckets. There is a physical aspect of it, which is to build pothole-free roads, bring in better buses, make sure that your drains are, the entire city has drains and are not clogged. Then there is an element of service level, which again Dr. Ravindra was talking about, is why can't we have a cleaner city? Why can't we keep? So there is a service level element which citizens face day in and day out. So higher frequency of service for buses, cleaner cities, your dustbins at the corner of the street being picked up twice a day, no power cuts, etc., etc. The third element is the ease of doing business with government, which is if I as a citizen want to pay my property taxes, I want to, register birth, death, etc. So all of these interfaces with government need to be hassle-free, transparent, and timely. Today, if you think of saying, oh, I need to go to the government and there is a matter to be addressed, the first thing is you don't look at that as either hassle-free or transparent or being redressed in a timely manner. So that goes across the country. It's not just Bangalore, it's across the country. So if you were to look at these 3, my aim would be to try and look at one aspect of, so this is how the budget plays out. So there is the ABD, which is the area-based development, which is 1,685 crores. And then there is the PAN city, which is about 107 crores.
and then the 107 crores gets split across 8 different initiatives, part of which is for the ease of doing business with government, and part of which is for ensuring that you are informed as a citizen and